item 4D as in David be removed from the agenda for today.
4D?
Yes, 4D as in David.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any comment cards on any of the
No,
consent items? Would any of my fellow commissioners like a consent item pulled?
No. I'll move approval. Second.
So we have a motion and a second to approve items 4A, B, C, and D. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank.
1A.
I'm sorry. 1A, 1B, 1C, and 1D. Thank you.
Okay, we're now on item number 2, commission comments.
Any commissioner comments this morning?
No, sir.
I just have one comment. I know I've said this before, but I will say it one more time. I had the pleasure of visiting the weekly Watts Gang Task Force meeting yesterday, which again is just a terrific example of what can be accomplished when the community and the police department works together. There were a couple of issues that the various community members had, but they were resolved in a very respectful way. The community there knows that they have an accountable and direct relationship with police officers. They see them every week. In some instances, they see them every day. And I think when you look at the rise in crime that we're seeing in the city of Los Angeles, particularly in the South LA area, where obviously Watts is a part of, and you see that Watts is not experiencing the same level, they're not experiencing any increase in crime. It's not a coincidence that is occurring. So we need to figure out ways to duplicate that in other areas of the city. Do we have any comment cards on Commissioner comments?
We do have one, sir. We have Mr. Prentice Jenkins.
Mr. Jenkins?
Prentice Jenkins, publisher City Life newsletter, active
Morning.
since 1991. Morning, board, chief. I'd like to play a incident that happened. That's Charlie Africa. That's the incident on Skid Row, where they shot him down. Unarmed man getting shot down. There it is. He's dead as a doorknob now. Yep. They gunned him down. Now, I submitted a petition about a week ago or 2 weeks ago, asking the board to order the chief to turn over the body camera video, because those cops have body camera video. And Black Lives Matter signed it, and also LA Can signed it. Now, under the city charter, the police commission is head of the police department, so you can compel the chief to turn over the body camera video. Now, the question is, will you do it? If you don't, you'll be like the folks in Chicago in the Laquan McDonald case, where the state's attorney had seen the video, knew the cop did not lunge, knew Laquan McDonald did not lunge at the cop. They'd all seen the video. The police chief saw it too. They lied for 13 months until someone found out there was a video, and they sued to get the video, and sure enough, we found out the chief was lying and the state's attorney was lying. That's when they said, okay, now we'll indict him.
There are no other comment cards on this item. We're on item number 3, the report of the Chief of Police, Chief Beck.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
First, I want to address a couple of changes in senior command staff caused by the imminent retirement of First Assistant Chief Earl Paysinger. Earl's retirement will be effective in late June, and I have selected to replace him as the Chief of Office of Special Services, B. Gramala. And Chief Gramala is here. She'll become an Assistant Chief. and be the highest-ranking woman on the Los Angeles Police Department. Bee comes, as you know, from West Bureau. She was well-renowned as the captain in Hollywood for many years. Bee is a student and a believer of community policing, and I know she's going to do a great job in her new assignment. I'm taking the opportunity of promotion of an assistant chief to make a change in assignment for my two other assistant chiefs. Assistant Chief George Villegas is going to become the director of the Office of Administrative Services, and Assistant Chief Mike Moore, due to his seniority, will become the first assistant chief, but he will also become the chief of the Office of Operations. So that will be a change in responsibilities. Those two changes will occur middle of this month. So and B will also be working side by side with Chief Paysinger to not only learn her new command, but also to benefit from his years and years of experience. That leaves a vacancy in West Bureau, and I have selected John Peters to be the deputy chief assigned to West Bureau. John thinks he's here to explain something else. He had no idea that I was going to do this.
Congratulations.
John was... John has served in quite arguably the toughest assignment in the Los Angeles Police Department for the last couple of years, and that's the assistant to the director of the Office of Operations. He is really the one that keeps the trains running and makes sure that the vast majority of the of the Los Angeles Police Department is running smoothly. So John's done a tremendous job in that. He also was the commanding officer of Pacific Division, and he is well known in West Bureau and will do a great job there. I'm absolutely sure of that. So congratulations, John. I'd give him an opportunity to speak, but I'm afraid what he'd say. But it's always Chief Paysinger and I have been partners for decades, and since I've been chief of police, he's been the in charge of the Office of Operations, first assistant chief in special services, and he's going to be sorely missed by me personally. But I know that, and he and I have had long conversations about this, but I know that he is very, very heartened by his replacements and by the evolution of the Los Angeles Police Department. So a really good thing, very, very positive thing. A couple of incidents that I commented on yesterday in the press, and I think they bear repeating at Police Commission. A week ago, Saturday evening at 8th and Vermont, a young woman was kidnapped by a man who pretended to be an Uber driver. She was driven several blocks away to Ingraham Street, where she was repeatedly assaulted, sexually assaulted, and choked unconscious multiple times. Los Angeles Police Department responded. A basic car from Rampart arrived on scene, was able to locate the SUV in which the woman was locked and being assaulted. They tried to make entry in the SUV to save the woman. They were denied entry. The vehicle was locked. They smashed the windows out to try to open the vehicle to rescue her. The suspect inside, who was assaulting the victim in the back seat, vaulted into the front seat, drove the vehicle rapidly away. Officers pursued and were able to rescue the woman, who was thrown out of the car several blocks away. Unfortunately, they were not able to capture the suspect at that time, and detectives were called out. Robbery Homicide Division was assigned the case, not only because of the gravity of the assault, but because an officer-involved shooting had occurred when the vehicle tried to run over one of the officers as it fled. And Robbery Homicide Division, along with the FBI and along with Forensic Services Division, spared no resource and worked around the clock to reach a solution in this case. They obtained DNA evidence, were able to get a match through CODIS because of their ability to lobby that system and get the process sped up. And an arrest was made this Saturday morning. So exactly 1 week later, the individual arrested has a long and violent history, served time in state prison. There is no doubt that their arrest saved other victims the extreme trauma that this poor woman had to endure. I have to say that she fought valiantly and that she saved her own life in large part because of her active resistance to this monster. We also had an officer-involved shooting in Hollenbeck this weekend, where an 83-year-old gentleman was home alone. An individual, 28-year-old, went to the residence. 28-year-old and the 83-year-old did not know each other for reasons unknown to us at this time. The individual forced entry into the residence by smashing out multiple windows and forcing his way in. Created such a disturbance that the entire neighborhood was alarmed and actually had mustered itself together to try to rescue the 83-year-old. When the Los Angeles Police Department arrived, two Hollenbeck officers immediately recognized the gravity of the situation, entered the residence, and were confronted by the assailant, who had the 83-year-old in a chokehold with a knife to his neck, threatening to take his life. An officer-involved shooting occurred. The individual that was attacking the resident was killed, and the resident was rescued. A hugely dramatic and heroic act by Los Angeles police officers. I wanted to briefly comment on crime. We continue to see an increase in violent crime this year. Right now, we stand at a 14% increase in violent crime. We see a decrease in property crime, a minute decrease in property crime, and the totality of our Part 1 crime picture is a 2.9% increase over last year. 3 of our 4 bureaus show an increase in Part 1 crime, with West Bureau being the only bureau that shows a decrease of about 0.5%. Thank you very much, Chief Grimala. Gang crime continues to be up, though it's decreased a little bit since I reported last. It's up 9.1% compared to last year. Most disturbing, though, is our gang-related homicides are up 29% and almost make up the totality of our homicide increase for this year. And this year we stand at, I believe it's 17 additional homicides over last year. We had a fatal traffic collision last night in the Valley where a 70-year-old woman and a young girl were killed as they crossed a busy street. It highlights the dangers for pedestrians in the city of Los Angeles. Right now, we are looking at distracted driving as the cause of this. There's been no charges filed at this point, but the detectives are actively working this case as we speak. Traffic collisions are up in the city of Los Angeles. In total, we've had 13,511 traffic collisions this year to date that were deemed reportable. That's a 5.8% increase over last year. Hit and runs overall are down slightly, 1.3%. And motor vehicle versus pedestrians are down overall 5.9%. However, serious injury, motor vehicle versus pedestrians, serious injury or death are up about 14.6%. Bicycle-involved traffic collisions are down in total about 23%, although we have had the same number of fatal bicycle-involved traffic collisions as last year, which is 2 so far year to date. To give you an idea, the toll that traffic collisions take in the city of Los Angeles, so far we've had 56 people killed in traffic collisions in the city of Los Angeles, as compared to 77 killed in homicides. Personnel status, you have 9,895 sworn personnel, 2,700 civilians with 577 civilian vacancies, about 400 reserves, 372 specialist volunteers, 60 chaplains, and 7,410 cadets. And that concludes my report.
Thank you.
Mr. President, if I might make a comment
Please.
on one of the aspects of the chief's report. I just want to commend the chief for his extraordinary judgment and reflection of his leadership on the excellent choices that he's announced this morning and the changes in the senior leadership in the department. Chief makes many, many important decisions and has tremendous effects on the department and the city. Probably none more important than the kinds of decisions that he announced this morning. And I just am so pleased. The choices are excellent. I've had the great honor and privilege of working over the years with each of the people he has announced this morning. Their experience and their leadership is tremendous and will serve all of us well. And I just think it speaks so well, Chief, of your leadership, your tenure, the commitment that you have shown to community policing, and the nature of this deep bench, which has been and continues to be developed here to allow for this kind of extraordinary leadership at the top of the department, which we will all feel throughout the department and the city. And I just want to thank you very much for that.
Well, thank you, Commissioner, and I know that you have worked closely with Chief Grimala in her role as the department's LGBTQ coordinator. She will continue in that role as an assistant chief. I think that not only adds more gravitas to the assignment and gives her what she's always had through her personality, which is citywide authority, gives her that legitimate authority to affect our relationships with those communities.
Thank you. I appreciate that, and I didn't want to single out Chief Grimala because I didn't want to slight the other folks mentioned, all of whom for whom I have great respect. But with respect to Chief Grimala, the changes that I have experienced and witnessed since her promotion prior to this one, not only with respect to the LGBT community but across the board, have been noticeable and important. And I've talked to her about that. I've also spoken with Chief Moore and Chief Villegas about the changes that I've experienced in each of their areas as well. And I feel very good about it, and I appreciate the decisions that you've made. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Commissioner, and that they are a great team, and I just hope I can live up to their potential as a leader.
Chief, I have one question. Today we came in and there's 3 stacks of these. These are retirement certificates for people with 20 and 30-year experience. I added them up. It's about 1,600 years of experience. And what do you think about we have this deep bench that you're showing right now, but in the future, how are we going to cultivate and continue to cultivate as we bring in new officers? We're having trouble getting new officers, but we have an enormous number of people that have 30 years of experience that are retiring. Is that a concern from your perspective?
Well, it's always a concern. One of the advantages to their current retirement program is that retirements are well announced as to their timing. So in other words, I'm able to plan for it. So like as in this case, Chief Paysinger, my strong right arm, thank you, Earl, won't be leaving for another couple of months. So I have the opportunity to put somebody in place with him to not only learn about the command, but also to receive mentoring from him. So it's a great opportunity. And then with as in I'll use B's promotion as an example. She also has the advantage of having as one of her partners Mike Moore, who's had that exact same job and knows in detail the relationships required to be successful in it. And on the other side, for George, who's Villegas, Chief Villegas, who's taking a new assignment, Mike is also there as the outgoing director of that office to help him in that position. So, while it is always an issue, at least now we're able to plan for it, whereas decades in the past, retirements were often unannounced and held to the last minute because people didn't want to be seen as disloyal, lame duck, and whatever you want to say. And so retirements would be announced, and the organization would have to scramble to impart the knowledge and to get the kind of cross training that you really need. So those are some advantages, and then we're also, and this will be something. This is something that Chief Moore has been working on, and that Chief Villegas will continue. Is working on our recruitment and hiring. I mean, that's a huge piece of filling these vacancies, is filling them from the bottom up, and we're actively involved in that, and we're making great progress with personnel department, and I think you'll start seeing larger and better classes because of it.
Good. Thank you.
I just want to second Commissioner Saltzman's remarks. These are excellent choices. I've had the opportunity in my time here to get to know Chief Grimala and now Chief Peters, and have really enjoyed working with them. Their thoughtfulness, their commitment to the organization, their commitment to making this department better and more accountable. So these are excellent choices, and I look forward to working more with you in your new roles. And congratulations.
Should have made a motion for that.
Do we have any comments on the Chief's remarks this morning?
Yes, we do. We have 10 comment cards. The first 5, Prentice Jenkins, Melina Abdullah, Jasmine Abdullah, Hamid Khan, and Akili.
Prentice Jenkins, City Life newsletter, publisher, activist since 1991. Chief, thank you for getting that scumbag that raped that woman. Got him in a timely manner. But
against as many as 4 victims dating back to 2008. They say this happened over a 3 or 4 year period. And it went on until one of those victims brought it to the LAPD's attention. It was then turned over to Internal Affairs and then turned over to a robbery homicide investigation, which basically concluded recently enough information was out there to charge these 2 officers and place them under arrest today. Chief Charlie Beck was emotional during this press conference this afternoon, nearly coming to tears at one point, saying these officers disrespected themselves, they disrespected the badge, and they disrespected their oaths of office. They now face several charges. Chief Beck says if convicted, they could face life in prison. They're being held right now on $3.7 million bail. They're set to be arraigned tomorrow.
it took them a few hours to catch that rapist, to rape that woman, but 8 years to catch cops who rape black women. 8 years. A few hours to catch a rapist in a car, but 8 years they let these dudes keep raping people. Huh? These people are the head of that department. What do you think they're doing? Who the heck is this dude? Who's that? What's he doing?
He's fixing my computer, Mr.
Oh, okay. The hell? So 8 years to catch rapist cops. 8 freaking years. They just kept, we don't know how many black women they raped. In a few hours to catch that scumbag raping that woman in the car. I want to know if the police commission thinks that's fair. That you don't investigate cops for raping, but you catch a rapist in 1 hour.
Melina Abdullah.
So the last time I was here, we raised this question of not having enough space for community members, and one of the things that I suggested is that police fill up the roles that are reserved for them. So I don't know what kind of games are being played. I don't know if The chief ordered his officers to sit in the last 2 rows, but those last 2 rows were full of cops, and that took up community space. Now, thankfully, we have enough seats for community members, but that shouldn't be the practice. The practice should be if these 2 rows are reserved for police, these are the first 2 rows that they fill up. That's not fair. That's not respectful of the democratic process. That's not respectful of civic engagement, which you should all be encouraging, regardless if you are black folks, if it's black folks who show up or not. And so I think that that is hugely problematic. It's one of the reasons why we chant, they think it's a game. It feels like you are constantly playing games with us. And we are asking you to stop it because it's real. This is real. We're here for a reason. I find it really interesting that Chief Beck is raising that violent crime is soaring, and then we know that this is a play for a greater share of the city budget. If crime is soaring, you have failed at your job. It is your job to reduce crime. So really, you should be removed, and we should want to uplift our first demand, which is fire Chief Beck. We want your ass gone. Finally, I'm here to uplift the name of Waukesha Wilson, who was raised. Her name was raised last week. I find it appalling that Beck has not talked about the murder of Waukesha Wilson, who was killed in LAPD custody, and her family not notified for 4 days. I think that's appalling. We are people. She was the mother of a 13-year-old boy. She's somebody's daughter. She's somebody's cousin. She's somebody's niece, and her life matters. And so you need to include that in your report. If nothing else, you need to include it in your report. And it's really sickening that you don't see our lives as having value enough to be included in your report when you're talking about bicycle crashes and car crashes, and the murder of Waukesha Wilson didn't make it.
Jasmine Abdullah.
I just want to point out how Chief Beck has no regard for women and black folks in his own police station, because he called her B, he called him Earl, but you called that white dude Chief something. You address people by, if they're white, you address them by Chief. If they're a woman, you address them by whatever nickname you have for him, and he's addressed by Earl. So that right there shows that you have no regard for black folks as well as women. And I just want to lift up that last week, Matt Johnson, you said you knew nothing about Waukesha Wilson. What the fuck is going on here? Why don't you guys know anything about Waukesha Wilson? Where are you at? You're the commissioner. Matt Johnson, look at me when I'm talking to you, because I'm not going to take this disrespect. Look at me, coon. Now, what I'm saying to you is that you should know about Waukesha. You should know about her. Her people is reaching out to us. Her family is reaching out to us to get answers because you guys won't give them no answers. Now, that's not fair to the family. What if it was your daughter? Would you want some answers? What if it was your niece? Would you want some answers? What if it was your child? Now, think about this. We are out here fighting for justice for people's children. People's children, they will get answers. I'm tired of this. I'm tired of no answers, Chief Beck. You looking at me with this blank-ass stare, but God is moving us. Who's moving you? That's all I'm going to leave you with. God is moving me and my people. Who's moving you? And we're going to win. And I'm standing up to you and everybody else here. If we don't get no answers, you won't get no peace, Chief Beck. You won't get no peace. Because we're going to say her name. We're going to lift up her name. Waukesha Wilson. 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 She's going to hunt you in your night, in your dreams tonight. She's going to get you. Santeria is real. I'm going to leave y'all with that. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Fuck all this bullshit.
Hamid Khan.
You don't have any answers because you can't. You can't have any answers. Norma Guzman's killing video was released last week, and it was clearly evident that how you deal with people's lives, how she was clearly shot by two cops as she's walking towards them. And I know the propaganda of the whole de-escalation and everything else that you're going to spread, but let's go back to Waukesha Wilson, and let's go back to Sandra Bland, and let's go back to so many people that are dying in your custody and who are being killed every day. Last year, 1,145 people were murdered by law enforcement, and it comes to 7 hours and 41 minutes. Every 7 hours and 41 minutes, somebody was being killed. LAPD led the nation with 21 murders. LAPD led the nation with 21 murders. This year, as of April 10th, 288 people have again been murdered by law enforcement, so we're on track. Last year was 7 hours and 41 minutes. This year, they're already at 8 hours, and every 8 hours and 5 minutes. And again, LAPD is leading the nation. 6 people have been killed by the LAPD. 6 people. So when we speak about and asking you questions, you sit there with a blank stare. This is also that came across us outside. When you walk into the police commission, it talks about biased policing report. What it doesn't say that in the seal, it should be crossed and it should say 0 sustained since 2011. Over the last 5 years, 0 sustained. So this is the kind of bullshit and the drama and just sensationalism that you push. This man sits there and creates all this sensationalism, never for a second takes a step back and thinks of it as human life. Thinking of it as basically as human life. There's a photo out there, which is this propaganda for LAPD of some man who's half in uniform and half in his civilian clothes, and that's exactly what happens. It's a uniform that dictates this killing and these murders. But this is going to stop. This will stop. As of today, we know that people in Washington, D.C. are protesting. There were 400 people that were arrested today. There were 300 people that were arrested yesterday.
Thank you for your comments,
Mr.
Khan.
It's a failure. It's a failure of a system that is flawed by design.
Thank you for your
comments. And we will dismantle this thing.
The next speaker is Keeley, followed by Mariana Saba, Michael Novick, Sasha, Joseph Williams, and Jay Person Lynn.
I, too, want to lift up the name of Lakeisha Wilson. I find it genuinely disrespectful for you not to add that, at least in your report, at least to mention her. So now Los Angeles has a Sandra Bland to join Los Angeles, Emmett Till, Devin Brown. That was the most disrespectful thing to happen this morning. That this woman who was murdered in your custody was not even referenced, was not even talked about. And to complicate matters, to add to matters, that her family was disrespected. And the people of this community were disrespected because her family had to find out, not from us, but she happened to call. That's not what we expect here. We want an independent investigation. We cannot trust you, and we know that. We cannot trust you in any way. We want an independent investigation of the murder of Waukesha Wilson. Of Waukesha Wilson. Of Waukesha Wilson. Waukesha Wilson. Waukesha Wilson died in your custody. We want an independent investigation and a report back in 60 days. Say her name. 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 Waukesha Wilson. 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 Say her name. Waukesha Wilson.
You laughing.
Everybody that's standing needs to have a seat. Everybody that's standing.
Somebody died. What the fuck is funny?
This is not a joke. Everybody, please have a seat.
What the fuck is funny? Somebody died. It was fucking custody. What the fuck is funny?
Please have a seat.
Why are your officers
If you
laughing?
continue to scream, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. So please have a seat. Yeah. Please have a seat. This is the last warning. This is the last warning. Please have a seat so we can continue the meeting.
Say her name. Waukesha Wilson.
Okay.
Waukesha Wilson.
Say her name.
Waukesha Wilson.
Say her name.
You've had your warnings. Now you have to leave. No, now you have to leave. You need to leave the building.
Say her name.
You need to leave the building also. You need to leave. And you need to leave also. You've been warned multiple times. You need to leave. Yes, you. Both of you need to leave.
Kill somebody. It's funny when y'all kill somebody and then y'all can kick somebody out.
Warriors gotta go. But y'all want to leave the mothers and everybody else by themselves in here, huh? Warriors gotta go. Chief Beck, I see you. I see you.
Hell yeah, man. Y'all fucking lied. Somebody goddamn died. Hell yeah, man. Kick my ass out. Somebody goddamn died. You're a fucking officer sitting up here smoking and laughing and shit. That shit funny? Is that shit funny? Is that shit funny?
Call the next speaker, please.
Mariana Saba, followed by Michael Novick.
Good morning.
Waukesha Wilson. Norma Guzman. Semei Perez. And all these names you see on my shirt, these are all black women murdered by police. These are just some that were named last year. We honor Waukesha Wilson. Our communities honor Norma Guzman. Our communities honor Semei Perez. Our communities honor past, present, and even future, because that's where your thinking is, that's where your plans is, that's where your system is. We have to channel the pain in here. You need to see the pain in here. You need to feel the impact of your whole system choking our people, killing our people. I come in with a lot of rage to channel, and you need to see it. You need to see it. You need to feel it. Waukesha Wilson. Norma Guzman. On Thursday, LAPD came to my house. I was helping a housemate after a mental health crisis. I helped them prevent suicide. Unfortunately, when we have to call for help, my brother said the boys in blue are also coming. So I had to then prepare for the potential murder by your department, because I know you all don't know how to help. And you come with guns to a mental health situation.
Thank you for your comments.
You came with guns to Norma Guzman.
Thank you.
Stay
Thank you for your
out
comments.
of
Please have a seat.
I'm not done, and you need to listen, and you really need to grow. And
you need to submit another comment card. Or
I
you're gonna
already,
be asked to
I already
leave.
am, and I will continue. And I look forward to seeing you in person May 3rd when you meet
I look
with
forward
us.
to it also. Now,
Yeah, so
you
work
can
on
either
your
sit
fear,
down or you're
and
going to be asked to leave.
Yeah, I see your power tripping,
Okay,
and you
now
need
you
to
need to
shed a
leave.
lot of fear.
Now you need to leave.
Brother, you need to shed a lot of fear to be ready to meet with us in person. And I hope you're ready to resign the day that you come meet with us, because that's your only option.
Now you need to leave.
Michael Novick, followed by Sasha and Joseph Williams.
Michael Novick, White People for Black Lives and Anti-Racist Action. You're very careful about counting the seconds that people speak here, but you're not counting the people that the LAPD kills every year. Why is that? You know, you say you're listening to us, but you don't hear a word we're saying. People say you think it's a game, and I hear these members of the police commission talking about the deep bench of the LAPD. That's a term from basketball. He's not the fucking coach. He's the chief of police, and he doesn't have a bench. You talk about community policing. We've told you time and time again that the Police Chief magazine itself refers to community policing as the domestic equivalent of psychological operations in the military. It's not about if you want to demilitarize the police, you have to start with eliminating so-called community policing, which is a strategy for controlling the thinking of the people and the community. This commission has the responsibility to govern this department, and if you don't take your responsibility, then the people will take it directly. So listen to what people are saying and hear what people are saying and understand the pain that this department causes day in and day out. How can you have killed 6 people with barely 3 months past this year, and this whole department is not considering that a crisis of the highest magnitude that it must be dealing with before anything else, instead of moving pawns around on the chessboard in the department to create trust? Anybody knows that if somebody comes up to you and says, "Trust me," your antennas have to go up. You don't trust them. And so when the police commission and the police department comes to this city and says, "Trust me," we don't trust you, because there's no reason to trust you, because we trust that you will do what you've done time and time again, which is sweep murders under the rug. So it's time for you to stop doing that and change your tune and change your practice and change your behavior. And you can start by getting rid of that man who's covering for all these murders that take place by this department. So that's what I would say. Remember Waukesha Wilson, say her name yourselves, and fire Charlie Beck.
Sasha, followed by Joseph Williams.
I'm also here just to lift up the name of Waukesha Wilson and to say that I've seen countless numbers of people come up here and ask you all to think about the impact that LAPD is having on communities of color, on black communities, on black women, and that you haven't listened to them. And at this point, you can't say you haven't been warned. That blood is on your hands. You can't say that people didn't say this might happen. You can't say that people didn't ask you to think about it. You can't say that people didn't provide you with alternatives. You can't say that people didn't come up here and say that we're afraid and say that there's that and talk about the violence that's happening. You can't say you didn't know. You're saying you didn't know, but you can't say you didn't know. I've watched people come up here and tell you day after day and week after week, coming into this incredibly hostile room, getting patted down by security on the way in, just to come and tell you that. And so you can't say you didn't know. You can't say you didn't know this would coming. You can't say you didn't know this might happen. You can't say that. And so her blood is on your hands. That death is on your hands. It doesn't go anywhere else. That's on you, on each of you as individuals, on whoever it was that killed her, but on each of you as well, because you're supposed to be an oversight, right? And if you don't do your job, that blood is on your hands. That death is on you. And so I'm also here to say her name, to say Waukesha Wilson. To say Waukesha Wilson. 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 Who's a real person, whose family is here, and you need to hear from them.
Next speaker, Joseph Williams. Jay Person Lynn, Sheila Hines, and Lisa Hines.
Good morning, distinguished members of the commission.
Good morning.
Chief Beck, General Inspector Bustamante, the members of the audience, and members of the police force here. I am Attorney Jai Person Lynn. I represent the family of Waukesha Wilson, the mother, the son, through this tragic period. Now, we've been able to decipher that there is a video about 35 to, we'll just say 40 minutes of which that will be able to give closure to this family. The video exists from what we understand. I understand the Metropolitan Detention Center is fairly new and one of the most technologically advanced municipal jails in the country. With that being said, we expect that the circumstances that took place on Easter, March 27th this year, were recorded. And now it's been, by my count, just over 17 days since the death of Waukesha Wilson. Now, in my position, I am an Angelino. My father's an Angelino, my grandmother's an Angelino, and my great-grandmother's an Angelino. We've been here over 100 years. My uncle retired after nearly 30 years of dedicated service to this department. And for those Angelinos, for those officers like my uncle who did their job in a brave fashion, in an honorable fashion, we ask that this be brought to rest, because the silence just adds to the suspicion. And that's what we want to quell. If there was no problem, let us know. If there was a problem, let's make it right as much as we can. So I've reached out to the commander. I've reached out to the deputy chief. Next step on the organizational chart is you, Chief Beck. And I would just really like to get these answers as quickly as possible for the family. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Sheila Hines.
Waukesha Wilson was my niece. And the day she got killed, March 27th, was my birthday. And if we had known that she was killed already that morning at 9:24 a.m., no way I would have been out celebrating my birthday. I raised Waukesha. And we just want some answers. We demanding answers because we know for a fact that she didn't take her own life. That's out the question. We know that. We know that she was killed. There was an altercation with a detention center guard or police officer. We know that. But who is he? What did he do to my niece? What was her last words? Was she begging for mercy? Was she saying, stop, I want to live? She have a 13-year-old son. And I don't see you, sir, how you can sit up here and laugh. It's just disgraceful. You put this whole line of people to shame by your smirk laughter. And I'm just dumbfounded the way that you all conducting this matter. And we will not stop. We won't stop. It's not going to be swept under the rug. We demand the answer, and we want this to be expeditiously done. Now, we don't want this to drag out year after year. We want some closure. We want some answers. We demanding.
I'm sorry for your loss, ma'am.
Really?
I am.
As you texting, you sorry for my loss. As you laughing, you sorry. It's a blank stare in y'all face. You guys are sorry. How can you be sorry when you all got a code to stick together? Cover that story up.
Thank you for coming down here today.
Waukesha Wilson. Say her name. 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 Say my niece's name.
Thank you.
Say my niece's name. Say my niece's name. Say my niece's name.
Ma'am, thank you for coming.
Okay, the next speaker, Lisa Hines.
Mr. President, if I could just make a brief comment. I want to sincerely apologize. I was laughing. It was not about what was being said. I'm terribly sorry about that. It was clearly inappropriate on my part. I do take this seriously. I think my record backs that up, and I am terribly sorry for the loss of the family members here, and the
Look us in the eye and tell us that.
I'm sorry?
Can you look us in the face and tell us that? Can you look us in the face?
Sure. I am very sorry for what's happened, and I apologize sincerely for when I was smiling and laughing. It was not about what was being said. It was inappropriate on my part to do that, and I feel terrible about it. I'm sorry for that. I appreciate your being here. It's important that we hear what you have to say, and I'm doing the best I can to listen and take it seriously. And I sincerely apologize for what I did before. I think it was disrespectful and unintended, but I apologize for it. And all I can do is ask you to accept my apology. It's sincere.
We do.
Thank you.
But get one thing understood. When you apologize to someone, you don't look down. I mean, where's your training? You look down in the computer and you apologize and the family's standing right here? That's disrespect right there.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I waited all day for my baby to call me back. March 27th, I talked to her at 7:45. She said she was going to call me back. She was happy. And I waited all day. And she never called back. She didn't call Monday. Tuesday, I went to court. I was there in the criminal courts building at 8:30 till they closed and they saw that last person in Department 30 on the 5th floor. I kept asking, and they knew. Your officers knew then. And they just gave me the runaround. They told me to call Liz. Why could they just say, go see this person? It didn't stop there. I called all night Tuesday, all the way up until Wednesday, till about 1 o'clock. They kept telling me she didn't have a court date. She had zeros behind her name. Now I know that meant she had expired. Instead of just telling me to call this one certain person. Then when somebody do tell me something, he asks for my information, my callback number, because the watch commander needs to speak with me. And I asked him, what's wrong with my baby? Where is she? Is she okay? Is she alive? And he said, I can't tell you anything. All you need to do is wait for my commander to call you back. The commander never called me back. I had to call again. And was still denied talking to him. I called back again. And he finally got on the phone. And he didn't tell me anything. He gave me a number and told me to call and ask for investigations. When I asked for call the number and asked for investigations, the coroner's office answered. And how is that any way for any parent to find out their baby?
Ma'am, thank you for coming down here today. I know it's of cold comfort, but everyone on this panel thinks the way this was handled was completely inappropriate. We're looking into it. We're going to work with the department and the coroner's office to make sure that these matters are handled with much more empathy and sympathy, and just do a much humanity. And we need to do a better job. There's no question about it. And I'm so sorry for your loss, and I'm so sorry that you found out the way you did and how long it took. And this entire situation is deeply troubling to all of us, and we're very sorry for your pain.
And that was my only child. My only child.
I'm sorry if you don't think that we're treating her with humanity.
Keisha Wilson, she has a name. Do you get it? We're not here on some old theoretical bullshit. We're here because of the families, because these are people. These are our people. They're your people.
Say something else.
Say her name. What's so hard about that?
I need to say something else.
Waukesha Wilson. What's so hard about that?
I have no problem saying Waukesha Wilson. This is a problem for Waukesha Wilson and Waukesha Wilson's family, and it's a bigger issue, and we are working on it. It's a problem. It's a problem for the city family, and we're all working on it.
I just like to add, my mother died 3 years ago. So me and Lisa, so that's all she had was her daughter and her grandson and me. So it's just devastating. Now her daughter is gone. My niece is gone. My mother is gone. She's alone with no answers. Don't know what her daughter's last actions were, her last words. We have sleepless nights, wondering, was she chokehold? Was she beaten? I wake up 3 o'clock in the morning. I can't sleep. She done lost tremendous weight. And I just hope you guys, it is my hope that you guys do what's right. Don't cover this up. Let us know who the officer were that killed Waukesha.
Now, I'm sorry, we have to get back onto our agenda. Again, I thank you very much for coming down and sharing with us today.
Yes, what we want is answers.
Understood.
What we want is you guys to know her name all day long, like you know your own name. Like you say, I'm such and such. Say her name.
Thank you again for coming down.
Mr. President, we have no other comment cards on this item. We're now on item number 4, regular agenda items. We have no comment cards, and 4G was removed from the agenda.
I move to approve 4A through 4C. Or
Did anybody need items 4A, B, or C called today?
No.
Do we have any comment cards on 4A, B, or C?
No, sir.
Okay, we have a motion.
That
4D
item
was
removed.
pulled from the agenda. So we have a motion to approve items 4A, B, and C. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. We're now on item number 5, public comment. We have 5 comment cards. We have Prentice Jenkins, Crystal Waters, Marcus Harvey, Melina Abdullah, and Crystal Warrior.
Prentice Jenkins, published the City Life newsletter, active since 1991. I'd like to say the name of Waukesha Wilson. That's her name, Waukesha Wilson, apparently. Say her name, Waukesha Wilson. Waukesha Wilson. Waukesha Wilson. Thank you. You see, this is the family members. The woman's mother's in here, right? And this panel displayed its immaturity in front of a woman whose child could have been murdered in the county jail. I just found that out, that there was an altercation. So understand this, folks. Whatever you do, however you behave, your cops are going to behave. They saw your immaturity on this panel. So what do you think they're going to do when they go out there in the streets? Listen, respect starts with this panel. If you don't give respect, your cops are not going to give respect. And then we're not going to give respect to your cops. And then guess what? Your cops are going to kill people, and people are going to kill your cops. Don't think cops can't get killed. They're killed all the time. The last thing we want is cops to be killed. The last thing we want is cops killing people, innocent people. Ezell Ford, Waukesha Wilson, they're all dead, unarmed people. This man, Ezell Ford, was walking down the street and he ended up dead. How is that possible to be walking down the street and then you end up dead, shot by the LAPD? How is that possible? Because it starts here. The maturity starts in this room. Stop laughing. Stop joking. This is not a joking matter. That woman is not joking. Her child is dead. I guarantee you, if one of your children died, none of you would be laughing, especially at their funerals.
Crystal Waters.
Crystal Waters here to talk to Charlie Beck about wireless weaponized technology. We've been up here 2 or 3 times. We've talked all with your city council members. We're just wondering what it is that you guys are doing about this. Yesterday, we walked into your Los Angeles Police Department down in Van Nuys, asked them if they've been briefed on wireless technology and how it's affecting the community and how you guys are calling it mental health and you're using every scapegoat to not help police wireless technology, and they had no clue as to what we were talking about. Yet every day I'm getting numerous emails from victims who are under attack, who are pleading for their life back. If they were crazy and they could take a pill to make it go away, trust me, they would, but they can't because it's wireless, weaponized technology that is attacking their life, their livelihood, their humanity. And every time we speak, I've been sitting here watching you, you keep itching and scratching, turning your head, looking at your colleagues, but you guys are the ones that are supposed to be in charge of making sure that our streets are safe. Whether it's from a gun, pepper spray, wireless weaponized technology, I should be able to go into Walmart or Target and not have to worry about getting shot up by somebody who's tired of not getting help. And this is what's happening every day. We're all at risk. Every day, your police officers, you see how quick they was ready to jump up here for you? Risking their life against us for what, though? When you're out here not even doing anything to really try to help these people police the streets in which they're in charge of, in which they're coming out here to, these people are hurting. They're under attack. They need help, and you are their only place to turn, the police department. This is where we go to get crimes investigated. Crimes are happening, and you guys are doing nothing, and it's time for you to step up and find out just how wireless, weaponized technology is affecting your community.
Let me let you hear some of these victims.
In the morning, they wake me up with shock, and they choke me out while to wake me up. Yeah. These motherfuckers are targeting us to commit crime. Right now, they're hitting me in the chest at work. That's how sort of my weapon, and that's what they're doing. They're shooting me in the chest, and I'm wearing rubber. I was on the way to the medicine because me and my son in the car and shit. He started, his dad, we get close to the place. He said, Dad, my heart is hurting. I was saying, your heart's hurting. You got no heart problems. He's like, Dad, it feels like somebody squeezing my heart, start crying and everything.
Well, it's hundreds of them, man, and really everybody out here is on the radar. This technology, you putting your family, your kids, your wife, this thing is sitting there watching your kids, your family, sampling every detail with physical access at them, and nobody's talking about it, man. It's like a suicide mission. You guys trying to take the whole world down with you, man. It's like, shit, we trying to hit the eject button. Where is that, man? And It don't make any sense. I mean, you putting the cops at risk. I mean, why they even out here? You hear all these police killings. You want people to get killed. Who's ever responsible for this want people to keep getting killed. Keep the story over there. Keep the crowd over there. But keep them away from all this technology, weaponry that we invested all this money in, man. I mean, the game is getting old, man, and mental health and all that bullshit is running out, man. You know, we real men right here. We don't want to live like that. We don't want to be watched, somebody tickling your dick, poking you in the ass with radio weapons and shit, man. You know, putting out your car when you're driving, all of a sudden you're getting burns. It's clear to see that reaction is the software's main priority. Your phone go off, you're going to make a reaction. Something happened in your house, you're going to make a reaction. You just told the software that it was successful. I mean, the game is weak, man. I mean, to work on some of these people, they're saying they're seeing through my eyes. You know what that mean, man? That mean that they're being stalked electronically everywhere they go and then mimicked and harassed. Voices in their ear, Peter, 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 until somebody goes shoot up the store, man.
Thank you for your comments, sir.
What you doing out here? Stupid.
Melina Abdullah.
So I don't have a whole lot to add to what I've already said. And I don't know why I keep trying with you, Matt Johnson. But something tells me not to give up, because we need you to act on our behalf. We're here for the families. And I hope you get it. I'm here because I'm a mama. I'm here because I'm connected. We're connected. Read this book. Michael Dawson's Black Visions talks about linked fate. Your fate as a black man is tied to Lisa Hines' fate. Your fate is bound together. Our fate is bound together. And so you're here. We didn't want you here. I'm going to be straight up. We didn't want you here. We wanted somebody who got it here, but you here now. So you're here, so move on behalf of your people. Our people are being killed. There's no way Waukesha Wilson could have hung herself from a phone booth that sits 2 to 3 feet off of the floor. It's not coincidental that she had a verbal altercation with a guard and then winds up dead. It's not coincidental that they won't release the video of what's happened. It's not coincidental that they won't give us the names of those who went in and out of her cell. That's not coincidental. Your job is to know this. This is the oversight body. So last week when Sister Nia raised it and you said you didn't know about it, it's your job to do that work. Work is hard for the people as you do for Oprah Winfrey and Tyler Perry. Work is hard for us as you do them because we matter. We matter. Waukesha Wilson matters. Her son matters. Her mama matters. Her auntie matters. And you're tied to us. Please do something.
Crystal Warrior. I believe you already spoke on this.
All right, this little dude right here is the face of our future. And we need to be concentrating on what we're
Ma'am,
gonna
I'm sorry,
do
but you
to
had
make sure
your
that
2
these little
minutes.
people right
You
here
had your 2 minutes. You do
have
not get
a
another 2 minutes.
platform
Do we have any
to
other
which they'll be
speakers?
able to stand
We
on,
have
get educated,
Quasi,
and not have to
Nakuma,
worry
and Jeffrey
you need
Helm.
to have a
in
seat.
world where
Ma'am,
we're
you need to have a
complaining
seat
about
or you're going to be
this
asked to
dumbass shit,
leave.
like killing up people in jail.
You need to have a
in
seat or you're
wireless
going to be asked to
technology.
leave.
I'd like to say to the, my name is Kwasi Nkrumah. I'm the co-chair of the Martin Luther King Coalition of Greater Los Angeles. I'd like to say to Waukesha Wilson's family that we are fully committed to working to see that justice is done in this case, as in every other case that has come up and continues to come up in the streets of Los Angeles, in our communities. The same things that are happening to African Americans today are exactly what was happening in Germany in the late 1920s and the early 1930s before the fascists took over. People were being attacked on the streets. Their civil rights were being curtailed as a group. And members of the Jewish population of Germany were finding themselves victimized more and more by police actions because people who were supporting that move that Hitler ultimately made had infiltrated themselves into the police agencies. The FBI released a report on this about 2 months ago, indicating that, yes, indeed, there's significant infiltration of police agencies throughout the country by racist organizations. This has a great deal to do with the skyrocketing rate of black deaths on the streets at the hands of police officers. We have no doubt. We want to thank the Black Lives Matters movement and others who have been down here standing up for the survival rights of people in our community and asserting that, yes, indeed, their lives matter and that that's no joking matter. How could we ever have confidence in a commission like this, which we don't control? None of you are elected. You're not responsive to us, and that's why a lot of the aberrant things happen when people come down here with their issues. We believe that this board needs to be replaced by an elected board, not an appointed one. Finally, I just want to say that, in Chicago, there was another case of a shooting there where not only the police officers involved, but the higher officials of the police department and the city administration covered the facts up. How can we have confidence that you will tell us the truth?
Thank you for your comments.
Jeffrey Hall.
My name is Jeffrey Hall. I spoke before this committee about a month ago, and basically I want to talk about the cyber stalking. I'm a resident of Los Angeles. I grew up on the West Side, went to Beverly Hills High School, UCLA. My life has been ripped away from me by moving next to somebody in the area of Ladera Heights. Mr. Tefank, I've written you. I've written the commissioner. I've got a restraining order. I have 4 violations. I have criminal threats. Now, when I went to Southwest, because I joined a police volunteer program so I wouldn't have such a salty taste towards the police department, clergy at the Rampart Division. The problem is this. You sent me a letter saying to go to the chief. I already sent the chief a certified letter. When you go to the police department, and I'm telling you, I know where the man is that is stalking about 75 individuals, where they're making men go do sexual acts to get their life back, or where they're making people rob people and give their credit card information to do bank fraud or do an insurance fraud. I know this man. You told me that no meeting is denied. That's what you guys said. If you request a meeting, I've done it. 18 months of my life has been robbed away. This is humiliating. What's going to happen? People are going to kill people. I'm saying this. The police are even saying our hands are tied. You know this wireless weaponry that gets in people's heads and screws up their ability to walk through society freely is insane. This man, he's robbed my house, vandalized my car, and the police keep saying, well, he has rights. Every time you come and do something, there's nothing in it. So I'm going to write the Chief Beck a letter. I'm telling you, we know. People know where this man is. I don't understand what this is. I'm confused. So my name is Jeffrey Hall. The defendant's name is Kevin Darnell Davis. And I'm saying on the record that you're going to have unspoken or spoken violence because people are not going to lose their homes. They're not going to lose their jobs. They're not going to lose their cars. They're not going to have people going in their emails, raping them, and making them do these disastrous acts to maintain or try to get their life back. So, Mr. Tefank, what I'm going to say is I'm Jeffrey Hall. I'm sure you know you've written me back. You go to Internal Affairs. I go to Internal Affairs. What happens is you go back to the police station. I don't even have a detective assigned to my case because when you go back, they say, well, now you've made a complaint, so I can't talk to you. So now I've relocated again to Burbank from L.A. I have restraining orders at 4 police stations.
Thank you for your comments, sir.
Okay, we have no other comment cards.
I submitted a comment card. I wouldn't take it because they started the comment. I'm going to make my comment anyway. I'm going to ask Robert Salzman why he didn't ask Chief Beck a word about Lakeisha Wilson when he gave his report. Sober up the same question. Ms. Kim, why didn't you ask Chief Beck anything about Norma Guzman or Ms. De La Garza? Why didn't you ask any questions of the chief when he gave his report?
This came up last week, and since that time we've been looking into it.
Yes, but you didn't ask him about it in public. You didn't tell the public that you had done so until everybody came up and...
We asked the chief about it in public last week.
And what did he say? Did he give you an answer? Did he give the family an answer?
It is being looked into as I discussed at length earlier.
You won't say it.
Okay, we're now on item number 6, closed session items. We do have a comment card on 6A, Prentice Jenkins, and we also have a comment card on 6B, Prentice Jenkins.
Prentice Jenkins, published the City Life newsletter, activist since 1991. I'd like to mention the name of Waukesha Wilson one more time to make sure that you know who she is and her family is. We talk about officer-involved shootings, but talk is cheap. Let's take a look at actual officer-involved shootings.
Headquarters today, they couldn't comment on the video, and it's not even clear whether they've seen the video themselves. Now, the shooting happened back in September, but today is the first time anyone has seen this video that we know of, and we're going to show it to you now, but not all of it, because it is pretty graphic. The video is disturbing, a fatal encounter that lasted more than 40 seconds. Two division police officers pull up, get out of the SUV, and draw their weapons. To the right, you see 37-year-old Norma Guzman walk toward the officers. When she reaches a power pole with a parked car between them, the video shows the officer closest to her opening fire. His partner follows suit.
He doesn't come out with a taser. He doesn't consider pepper spray.
Well, that was the video of Norma Guzman being gunned down. Now, I never actually seen Norma Guzman. I've been calling her Angie Guzman. I've actually, for the first time I've seen her, I've been in here advocating an investigation, an open investigation, and body camera video, because they had body cameras. They found this from a business. That's where they got this video. Or we would never have seen any video of Norma Guzman being gunned down by the LAPD. So we're talking about officer-involved shootings. I just actually showed you what it looks like. That's what it looks like. Now, for all those that weren't looking up, what you're saying is, I'm not going to, if you're looking down, and I was playing this video, what you're saying is we ain't going to do a damn thing about it. I don't care about Angie Guzman.
And for item 6B, Prentice Jenkins.
B, Police Protective League. Wow. Let's discuss the Police Protective League. Their job is to protect cops, whether they're good cops or dirty cops. Because we know those cops that raped all those black women, before they found out, they would have protected those cops. You understand what I'm saying? The Police Protective League does not care that they're dirty cops. All they know is our job is to protect them because they pay the dues. Well, guess what? That's what the Bloods and Crips do. We don't care how many people this Blood's got, how many bodies this Blood's got under his belt. We're going to protect him. That's where the LAPD becomes a gang. I wrote a song called "The Gang in Blue." There really is a gang in blue. The gang in blue. Watch out for the gang in blue. There really is a gang in blue. And guess what? They're protected by this quasi-organization called the Police Protective League, who certainly would have protected rapist cops. They'd have swore, hey, these people aren't our protection. Rape and what? Well, they got 4 black women they put them on, they charged them with. But we don't know how many black women they raped. But the Police Protective League would have protected them. Now, I don't know what this panel believes. I can only assume based on your childlike behavior most of the time. But all I know is this. If you're a protective league, if you're a police protective league and you protect dirty cops, that makes you a dirty cop. And dirty cops hang out with other dirty cops. And if you're an honest cop and you protect dirty cops, what does that make you? Does that make you make you a honest cop?
Thank you for your comments.
There are no other comment cards. The Board of Police Commissioners will recess into closed session to discuss item number 6A and B in accordance with Government Code 54957. The Board of Police Commissioners has concluded its work in closed session. We are back in open session. In closed session, item number 6A1 was discussed and the chief's recommendations were unanimously adopted. In closed session, item number 6B was discussed. Mr. President, is there a motion to adjourn?
Second. All in favor? Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Cindy, and I'm in Little Tokyo, and you're watching Channel 35, Your City, Your Channel.